Hi, sixth grade friends. This week we are learning about heat and energy, and our supplemental text for this week is called Energy, Heat, Light, and Fuel. But first, let me introduce you to 5 important vocabulary words that we will be going over for this week. The first one is solar energy, chemical energy, heat energy, kinetic energy, and energy fuel. As we read our supplemental and our textbook, we will be working in our groups to create a list, group, and label chart. And I know you guys love doing this because you get to work in your groups and create them together. You will also be creating a scenario using each term that we learned this week with an illustration. But before we read, we will be creating a word list, and this is an example of the list group label chart that I have created for one of the important vocabulary terms. We will do a read aloud with our supplemental text and you will follow along. I want you to use this vocabulary to create your words list for each term, okay? So after we have read before we read the textbook, I will give you a sheet that looks like this and you will answer the question. It says, what does this word mean to you? So this is you answering before we read our textbook. So this means as I read our supplemental book for a read aloud, you would use those words to create this list. Then we would jump into our textbook reading, and during this time you will also find new words that help you understand your vocabulary word. So now you have already created a list of words before reading your textbook, and now you will be adding more to your word list as you read in your textbook. I will also be giving you my support and make sure you do not leave any words out. So as I read this textbook with you, I will also be noting important words that I would like for you guys to add onto your word list. Now, after our reading, you are going to finalize your list group label chart like this and also create a scenario and an illustration for each of your vocabulary terms. Again, after our reading, this is where you work with your groups to finalize any kind of other words that you guys added to your word list. And as a group, you guys will divide them into groups and then find a label for each of your new word list group. As you guys work in groups, I will walk around to make sure that you guys are staying on task, but I will also check in to see if you can tell me what you know about heat and energy. And to finalize our activity, you are not only creating the list group and label chart, but you're also creating that illustration and scenario. That way, that tells me that you have understood the lesson that we are covering each day this week. Okay? Now keep in mind, I would like to also note that the purpose of this reading and activity is so that you all understand how we use different forms of heat energy and why we rely on them so much. All right, thank you.